We are live. Jeez, oh
Yeah.
Pete's. Here we are. We're live again.
Yeah, this has been a tough one.
It's been a interesting evening, that's for sure. Look at our backdrops. It looks like we're in the same place on two different cameras, kind of.
We got pretty similar aesthetics going.
No doubt.
Naughty Pine shiplap.
Yep.
It's as close as you can get to being outside with not being outside.
Hey, we're gonna resolve that issue. I've got something we're working on right now. We'll be able to go live from anywhere.
Yeah, I mean that'd be cool.
Yep. Well, who is? We got 6 people in here. Finally made it to one on time. We didn't make it on time, Carson. I can tell you that. We were late.
No, we was a little bit late, and we've been messing with this for an hour. Technology is, I mean, that's the hardest part of doing these podcasts is dealing with microphones and headsets and internet connections and always learning
There's
some new software like
too
this.
too many moving parts.
No, it's tough. I mean, that's why me and Tanner, when we decided we was going to do them, we're like, okay, we're only going to do it in person. No internet connections, no phone connections. We're only going to do it in person,
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
cut out that headache side of it. Because I've done podcasts in the past, and that was the biggest headache of it was the technology side of it.
100%. Hey James, where you coming from, man? You're watching us on Facebook. Where you from? Tell the world. Have you ever given a dog CPR, Ed?
I have uh, probably about 12 years ago. We was hunting in South Arkansas, and we had a catch dog because we had a catch dog catch in a creek. It's called Smackover Creek, and bulldogs are good with pretty much everything but water. Well, he sucked in a bunch of water,
Yeah.
and we thought he was dead. And we got him up on the bank and started pumping his chest, and just like crazy amounts of water were coming out of his mouth. And we got what we thought was most of the water out of his lungs or wherever it was at. And he still was totally unresponsive. And then I didn't do it. My buddy did it, but I kind of coached him through it because it was his dog. But yeah, he like hold the mouth shut, and he put his mouth over the muzzle, and then he'd blow through the nose,
Mm-hmm.
and then stop, and then we'd push, and then we just kept doing that. And I really thought there was no point in doing it, but the dog like popped out of it at some point, and he ended up being totally fine.
I gave one CPR yesterday.
Yeah, a
I
good
sent
one.
you. I sent you a picture of him too. Yeah, we're out here. I'm out in New Mexico. I'm out here with Shorty, and they're actually down the pin team roping right now, and that's not my game at all. I'm all hat and no cows. So
You're not a roper.
no,
I'm not a roper
no.
either.
Are you?
No, I'm not a roper.
No, no. It's been about 15 years since I've even set stride of anything that could. That's not true. I rode last time I was out here a little bit, but wasn't very long. But no, I'm past my prime and past my window of opportunity on that. But so yesterday I was out working some dogs and had a big long run, and it was beautiful. The weather's been beautiful out here. It's been like 50 degrees every morning, and
You bastard.
oh, it's been awesome. Yeah, about 50 degrees in the morning, no humidity. Um, got here, set up a big dog yard and stuff for all my dogs, and Shorty's going to be keeping them until they're till after their bear season comes in because of some personal things that I got going on at home that I have to tend to. I'm not even going to be able to make it out. So we were out on the ranch and had a good workout and get back to the truck. And it's kind of a detailed story, but what the heck, we got time, right? So we were one of the buggies went down on the ranch, the one that has a dog box on it, and I just put a chain tie out. I just call it a rig line across the D rings in the open bed of the other Polaris, and I mean everything was cool. We got over. It's about 4 miles over to where I hauled the dogs yesterday morning, and had a good run. Got everything back. Loaded everything in the back of the. That's not true. I was missing one dog. I was missing Indy, and got everything else loaded in the back of the side by side. And I had to stop down by the corrals and pick up Indy. Loaded him. Everything was cool. And I had to get back on the road, and there's a little ditch right there. And as near as I can tell, I cross the ditch, and I'm going down the county road, and I get to a cattle guard and a pipe gate there. And I open the cattle guard and the pipe gate and pull the side by side through, and I turn around, and Cajun's hanging over the freaking side of
Oh no.
the Polaris. I mean, flat hanging there. And I ran over there and picked him up, and I mean, he was limp, not breathing, nothing. And got him unhooked, put him on the tailgate, and started doing. He gasped one time, and so I started in on CPR and did the whole mouth to nose thing and stuff like that, and got him off the tailgate, laid him underneath there. He was breathing now, started breathing on his own, and he still couldn't get up. And I just after he laid there for a few minutes and chilled out, I put him in the front of the buggy on the seat and just started busting it for the ranch headquarters. And by the time I was 2/3 of the way there, and he lifted his head and was looking around. He's looking at Tough. Tough had to ride on the floorboard of the buggy, and it was weird because it's like Tough knew something was up. You know, he wasn't. He just knew, and got to the ranch, got him out, got him a little bit of water, and today he's stiff and he's skinned up, but he's fine. He knows his name, knows the whole drill. Man,
Well, that's good. I mean, Cajun is too good of a dog to lose to something stupid like that. And you know,
it is stupid. It was stupid.
I mean,
You
now that
can't
you
see
say
it.
that, I've given CPR dog twice, or been there when it was done, uh, and I forgot about it. But we had a dog that we called Pluto. He was a big dog. He was half Plott, half Airedale. Same thing, but we was on four wheelers. We was riding through rough country. He come off the back rack on the four wheeler, and nobody caught it real fast, and he was hanging. You got to be. I've seen too many dogs get too close. We had to give Pluto CPR, and he came out totally fine. I had him for years after that.
Yeah.
But you got to be really careful when you're rigging dogs like that in a four wheeler off a box or whatever. That's one reason why
Wait,
I like a wide collar. Like it's kind of common on
I've got
bulldogs
I've got 2 inch
to
collars on all my dogs.
yeah to run. That's what I was gonna say. It's common on bulldogs running a 2 inch, but I don't run 2 inches on my bay dogs, but I do usually run inch and a half. Like the
Hmm.
wider the collar, the less chance you have that happening in my mind. But it's one of them things you can't avoid it.
I know, but man, you talk about he was on the passenger side of this buggy. It's not my buggy. Didn't have any side mirrors on it. It had a rear view mirror in the center, but with the cab on it, and you can't roll the windows down. There are those vent window deals, and I'm not blaming the buggy at all. I mean, I just lost track, and if that gate had been open where I could just kept cruising, he'd be gone. He'd be done. It'd be
Yeah.
I'd have been burying a dog yesterday.
And over something that's, I mean, I say stupid, but I mean, it's not like stupid on your part. It's just one of them. I mean, it's just, you don't want a dog to die from something like that.
Oh, 100%. I was tore up yesterday. I was like, you idiot. I mean, I've hauled dogs for miles like that and kept track of them, but I had back glass behind me and a closed cab, and I got some stuff today, some hardware today to fix things up in a way where it's impossible for them to get over the side now. So, but you still got to watch.
Yeah, but if I'm tying a dog out, like, and we ride dogs in the back, typically bulldogs on the back of a truck. The dog boxes are safe for bay dogs, but I mean, we typically try to tie them out where they physically can't fall off.
Yeah,
And
they'll still figure out how to do it.
they'll figure out how to do it. Like, I had a dog, not a real, I mean, this is raw dog. So not a real politically correct story, but I had a bulldog a few years back, quite a few years back, and he was bad for just like I said, we typically tie our dogs to the headache rack, our bulldogs to the headache rack. Bay dogs go in the dog box. Well, this dog was bad about just jumping off, for no reason. And I was heading over to Tanner's. We was getting ready to hunt, and it's just about 2 miles over to Tanner's house. Well, about halfway there, this bulldog just for no reason decided he was going to jump off the back of this flatbed. And he had a good 2-inch collar on, so I was kind of aggravating him about him doing this all the time. So I just said, screw it. We're about a mile from Tanner's. And I just let him hang for like a mile. We get to Tanner's, and I mean, he wasn't close to dying, but he wasn't real happy. And I pulled up there, and Tanner come running out. He said, "Your bulldog's hanging off." I said, "Yeah, I know. He's been hanging off for a mile." I threw him
Well,
back
I
on the
mean,
and
realistically speaking, I even joked about it with Shorty the day before. Just dark humor, whatever it is. And I told him, I said, well, if they jump out of there like that, they'll only do it once, you know. And then it was actually the day before. I said, if they jump out of there, they'll only do it once. And we laughed. And yeah, Cajun almost did it only once. If that
yeah,
gate would have been open, man, that would have been the only time he ever did it, and I'd have killed it. I mean,
that
I felt
bulldog
like a total
that
jackass all day, Ed.
that bulldog of mine, he never jumped off ever again.
Yeah.
Like I say, that's not super animal friendly or whatever, but especially with bulldogs, sometimes you got to teach them lessons the hard way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, Short said, well, he's a plot, so you really can't hurt him. Yeah.
oh, you can hurt them.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
he's hurting today.
he's the leader of your pack. You don't want to hurt him,
Right. Right.
or at least from my assessment, he's the leader of the pack. He Cajun holds a pretty high space in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, Roy, you're exactly right, man. I'm glad you commented there. I lost a dog in a kennel early on when I was just a kid. I was thinking I was creating shade for him, and put a piece of tin across the top of the kennel. And a good little female I had, she was bad about getting on her doghouse. I mean, I was like 16 when this happened, and I was doing everything for myself, building my own kennels, building my own dog houses, doing all this stuff. And she got up on the top of that doghouse, and it was a gable roof, and she stuck her head up through that tin and thought she was going to come out of there, and she lost her balance and slipped off. I went out the next day, and she was graveyard dead. And
Yeah,
I never forgot that lesson.
I've had really bad luck with chain spots. Uh, Dogs getting bred. I didn't want to get bred because somebody got loose. Dogs hanging themselves. So 20 years ago, I went not 100%, but like 80% kennels.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, to me, a kennel gives me a peace of mind. but I don't think kennels are best. So like a couple of years ago, me and Tanner were talking about it, and you put a dog on a chain spot, especially like a bay dog, they keep themselves in shape better. They
Yep.
stay more They stay more active. They stay more, in my mind, connected to nature. So I prefer a dog on a chain. It's just the and I have such I shouldn't say it's bad luck because it's not bad luck because you can, you know, I know bulldog guys who have 60 dogs on chains and rarely have in you know a bad instance. But it takes some upkeep. You got to check swivels all the time. You got to
Mm-hmm.
set it up so they can't hang themselves, so they can't get twisted up and not be able to get to shade or water. But I think a dog performs better on when they come off a chain than out of a kennel. But for me, it's
Well, I
it is
think
for me.
there's a couple things about tying dogs out that I think they're important. One is I've actually gotten dogs out of snares
I have a couple
that
times.
if they hadn't been tied and they'd have fought it, they would have ended up dying right there. And I'm not bashing trappers, so I'm a trapper too, and I've even used snares, but these weren't relaxing lock. But I don't care if it's a dog, it's a horse, it's a mule. If they're used to if they're used to being tied, then most of the time you'll find them right there without tearing themselves up and doing all that stuff. That's one thing. That's why I always tie young dogs out and get them used to that. It helps you with lead breaking and just a whole lot of stuff. And then the other thing is, and I don't even know who posted this, but it made a lot of sense. And yeah, Chris, I put gravel under my tie out areas and stuff, and that's something
Well,
that helps
mean,
with feet.
I kind of disagree with Chris on that. With Chris
You think?
Watson. Well, I mean, my kennels are on concrete,
Yeah.
so I mean, there's plus and minuses to concrete. But if I put a dog on concrete, his nails are going to be trim and his pads are going to be tough as hell. But if I put a dog on a chain spot, I don't I don't get that. So
Do you put
I mean, I
gravel
guess it
down?
depends. No, I'm just on raw dirt.
Well, where Chris is at, I know about where he's at, and it's
Yeah,
kind
where
of on
Chris
the.
is at, that may be true.
I mean,
That may be true.
out here, everything is a volcano ash pit. So you've got volcano rock and different stuff. And when they're tied out out here, those nails stay trimmed for sure, and good
And
exercise too. But at home, back home in Indiana, you know, um, I just I put them on gravel. I make every tie out pad. I just go ahead and put down a layer of creek rock that comes right out of the creek right there. And Indy and Diablo both have been tied out on that for the last month and a half, and they're not sore footed at all out here in
yeah,
this country.
yeah.
But
And if
every
you
other
can do
time
that,
I've brought him out, now Indy's not so much. He's um, he's my blue tick male. I haven't had any problem with foot soreness out of him anytime I've been out of here. But um, the dogs that are in the kennels, they've had a little bit of a foot issue.
are your kennels concrete floors?
Nope, I've got them wood. I've got them on treated wood. I
Yeah, I mean that
repurposed an old deck.
everything's a trade off. So I like concrete floors in kennel
Look at
because
Chris
dogs.
Watson. He's trying to be sneaky. He's trying to say sign in as Chris Watson and then sign in as anecdote of a houndsman.
Yeah,
He's
like
trying to
we're not
be
going to pick up on that.
he's trying to be sneaky.
So I like concrete. Like I say, everything's a trade off. If I put dogs on concrete, their pads are hard as nails. I have less problems with parasites,
Hmm.
but then on the downside, like I kind of said, it's kind of like hippie-ish, but like the dog doesn't have as much contact with the earth, and then they tend to have over years they tend to have problems in their joints because they're walking on a hard surface. But it's
Look at
all a
I'm gonna
trade-off.
put this up. I'm gonna put this one up. It says no, you guys are on like Facebook and 3 platforms. That's all right.
I think we're on Facebook and YouTube. That's it.
No, Shane's got us set up to go out to like Twitch and all these other things that I didn't even know existed. But
Oh
getting
no,
back to the foot thing, I read, and I don't even know who said it. Yeah, I think it was just a comment on Facebook about, taking these dogs off the dirt. And we've talked about it on this podcast before. Let your kids dig in the dirt, sleep on the ground, do stuff like that every once in a while. This guy's claim was he thinks that dogs' um, immune systems were kind of wrecking them by keeping them in these sterile environments all the time.
yeah, I mean it's no different than your kids. The best thing like you said, the best thing you can do for a kid is throw them out in the dirt. That beefs up their immune system. Same thing for an adult. Same thing for a dog. Same thing for anything. You expose them to uh, viruses and pathogens, and they're at a small scale, and their bodies figure out how to deal with it. When you don't introduce a living organism to those pathogens, that's when they don't get a chance to build up an
The
immunity to
immunity.
that.
Yep. Yep. Well,
But
you remember that?
like you were saying earlier, though, and a lot of people probably know this, but like, so I keep a couple chain spots at my house. Like I said, personally, I'm not a big fan of chain spots because of my own bad luck, but I keep a few around here. So when I got a pup that's uh, 7, 8 months old, and I'm thinking I'm probably gonna take this dog to the woods here in the next few months, I'll put him on a chain spot. And then when you snap a dog lead onto that dog, he is miles ahead of a dog
Mm-hmm.
that has just been in a kennel his whole life.
100%.
He understands that limit to his freedom or whatever it is.
Well, I know guys that have got dogs that they've never put on chain spots, and then you get to the woods with them and you tie their dogs up, and they end up eating your leashes in two because they've never been tied before. They don't understand being tied. And if Heath Hyatt hears this and watches this, you know who I'm talking to, Heath.
Well, I mean, my dog leads are
And
all
I'm not
trained
saying Heath
anyway.
didn't. I'm not saying Heath didn't leash breaking his dogs because every one of his dogs will walk out of the woods with you, but they haven't had that experience of having to understand. It's like throwing putting a horse on the ground or tying a mule's leg up. When you tie a mule's leg up, you get in their head and they realize they can't defeat it. And when you hobble a mule, if you hobble a mule and then you tie them, let them figure it out for themselves. Where the dog's doing the same thing. And when I tie a young dog out, it starts early. It starts like at 12 weeks old. Get a collar, put that thing down, and don't let them defeat it. And leave them there in a shaded area with water and all that other stuff,
Yeah.
so nobody's reporting us here. But a dog's got to. It's for their own well-being that they understand that that's not a bad place to be. They can find happiness in that space if they just calm down.
Yeah, they figure it out. And it usually, it takes a dog anywhere from 24 hours, and the hard headed, dumb ones, it takes a week for them to figure out that no matter how fast they run at the end of that chain is going to win.
Yeah, yeah,
But it does make life a whole lot easier when you put them on a dog lead.
yep, 100%. You remember that podcast that Chad Reynolds and I did? It was called "Yes, Karen." I chain my dogs or I tie my dogs out.
I don't know that I ever listened to it.
Chad builds a carousel for those dogs, and it's pretty slick. So what he does is he drives a solid post in the ground, and then he gets a piece of pipe that slides over the post in the ground, and then he welds, I don't know, 4 foot of either rebar or whatever. I think he uses rebar, welds it to the top of the pipe, and then he attaches a short piece of chain to it where they can't come back and get wrapped around the center post. And he puts the doghouse in there too. So the carousel, it swings over the top of the doghouse, every time, so it's never going to get caught on that. It's got enough chain it can get in the doghouse, and then and then it, there's never an issue there with tying the dog last. Oh,
Yeah,
thank
I mean, I think I get what
Kenzie, I
you're
would
saying.
disagree with you. I would disagree with you 100%. I don't have any leash chewers, and every dog I've ever had has been leash tied, so or has been tied out.
Yeah, I would have to say I probably disagree with that as well. Uh,
Yeah. This
I
is
think
Raw
when
Dog. Hey, Donnie Huber, you saying hello? I'm gonna shout back at you, buddy, real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of being like you were talking about earlier, I think being a part of being on that chain spot is that they realize they can't beat this thing. So so then when you in my world, so then when we catch a hog and I drag a dog off of it and take a lead and tie him to a tree, they feel that resistance and they're like, I can't beat this. You know,
Right?
they don't think to chew on the. I mean, I don't use dog leads. I just use a piece of chain with a snap on both ends so they can't chew through it anyway. But
Because
we
Tanner
barely.
and Cody steal all your leashes.
Well, I mean, they go by their leads, but I mean, they don't have a problem with dogs chewing through leads. You know.
No, I'm saying the reason you can't keep a leash is because Tanner and Cody are always stealing them.
Well, Tanner accuses me of stealing his, and I don't even use
I heard this whole debate. I heard this
those
whole
kind.
debate in New Mexico last year.
I don't even use those kind of leads. But I
Yeah.
think I may be converting them because we went hunting last night, and Cody showed up with a chain lead that he made, and he had to point out the differences between his and mine. He said, "Ed, don't steal it." And then Tanner stole one of my leads.
Of course.
Look, if you're gonna, everybody, it should just be a given. If you regularly hunt with a group of dudes, you're gonna swap dog leads back and forth.
Oh yeah.
No reason to get butthurt about it. They're cheap.
That's 100%, man. We got a pretty good crowd in here.
Yeah, what did Chris Watson say here? Yeah, I mean, typically with the chain spot, there's a bunch of ways to do it. The one thing that is common on all good chain spots is a good swivel. Like, so bulldog guys have always chained dogs out, and bulldog guys who their shit has to be straight. Like they can't be coming out and finding dogs loose. So they all use stainless steel big swivels, which I mean they're going to cost you about. I mean they used to cost $20. They probably cost $30 now. But I would say the most important rig on a chain spot is the swivel.
Yeah. Kenzie's firing back. We don't know your real name, Kenzie, so we're just calling you Kenzie.
Probably Kinsey.
Huh?
His real name is probably Kinsey.
Maybe Kenzie Hollow. Maybe he's got a
I
whole.
doubt,
He's
yeah,
got a piece of terrain named after him.
I doubt Hollow's his last name, but I bet Kinsey's his first name.
Everything I've chained out will destroy a leash at a bear tree. Man, I've never had that. Have you ever had that problem? I haven't.
I mean, I have had that problem, uh, mainly with bulldogs. But so I mean, Kinsey, you might think about just getting some. I mean, that's what I do. It's way cheaper than buying dog leads from a supply place anyway. I just get, you know, 5 feet of chain and put a double
Quick
snap
link on
on
each
one
end and a
end.
snap on each end. You got it.
Yeah, it's cheap and they cannot chew through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but I've never heard a dog that was accustomed to being tied out and then, you know, just going
Well,
crazy at the tree.
I mean, we have had it happen with
Yeah,
bulldogs,
I've never had
especially.
that.
You tie them back, and then we're dealing with the pig, and they're so amped up, and they want to get in there so bad, they're trying to find any way to get to you. And yeah, I've definitely seen them chew the nylon part of a lead loose and come at us. Go
Put up
chain. It
carts.
sucks in the chain sucks in the winter because it's cold. Really not all that much heavier.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I knew guys that wouldn't use the chain leads, the ones that are half chain, because they thought they were too heavy. I don't know. I guess that's the. I never. No,
Yeah, I mean, if you know,
I like my rolled leather leashes, and I
I
did
mean,
learn that you don't tie Heath Hyde's dogs up with your good leashes. So I carry some junk leashes to tie Heath's dogs up when I'm hunting with him.
I've made a few
So
leather lead. I've made a few leather leashes, and I don't. They usually just hang on the wall. I won't use them. But yeah, go chain. I mean, if chain is too heavy for you to carry, then stay home and watch TV.
yeah. What else we got here? I've made some gang tie outs out of cable and love them for traveling. Well, the tie out that I use is the Andy is the Dogs R Tree tie out. I mean, it's so easy to use. It's literally you can have it set up in 3 minutes and have dogs on it. If you've got, you got to do a little bit of figuring. It probably takes 5 by the time you figure out your space and all that stuff. But yeah, I use the cable tie outs as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've just got a big old tie out that's
Is yours like in a
again.
big wad of chain that you made,
Yeah, I mean, it's just 30 feet of chain with a spike on both ends, and
and then you got to
every.
unravel it and untangle it and get all the
eh,
leads all laid out? And
Yeah, I mean, it's not that big a
yeah, you
deal.
do. I've watched guys do it like you do it forever. They sit there and they fight it for 15 or 20 minutes trying to get it all figured
Well,
out.
I ain't trying to sell no dog tie out.
Oh,
It's mine's not for sale. If anybody's asking.
old Donnie up in Indiana. I talked to the wife today, Donnie, and she said the weather was getting rough back in the Hoosier state. So you know what they do with an Indiana guy that comes to New Mexico?
Put them on a
They
tie
put
out.
him on a John Deere tractor and have him disc a field. That's what Shorty had me doing yesterday. It was actually pretty cool. That's a nice tractor too.
What are you? Is it a cab tractor
Yeah, yeah,
with AC?
yeah. There aren't any complaints. I mean, it
Oh
was a
man.
John Deere with air conditioning and different stuff. He's like, you know how to run that thing? I said, give me the rundown on the give me the rundown on the controls inside that cab and the warning lights and make sure I'm not messing anything up, and we'll go for it, man. So we're reworking an alfalfa field there on the ranch, and it's going to be nice, man. It was rough, and the alfalfa was played out in it, and so that's what I've been doing this week. They
It's
figure
just for
since I can't ride and rope, I might as well run a John Deere tractor.
the alfalfa just for game or.
They bale it because they've got a they'll use it for winter feed.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Well, Kenzie's talking about cable leads, and I hate to keep going up against Kenzie, but me personally, I can't. If somebody gave me a dozen cable leads, I'd throw them all in the trash. I wouldn't use them damn things. They
Well,
always
uh,
they
I
always
think Kenzie's
unravel.
is a half and half. No, they're talking about all cable leaks. I
Yeah,
don't
I mean
like
either
carrying
way,
those
I don't.
either.
Man, them cables, you always get one. Anybody's ever messed with cable, dog lead or not, just like stretching cable fence or whatever you're doing with cable, you always get one strand of that comes loose, and it will poke you like a needle. And I don't know what it is about those strands of that cable. It will hurt for 4 days. Like I say, if somebody gave me 100 cable leads, I'd throw them straight in the trash can. I can't
Yeah, you got to find
stand.
your cable. You got to buy cable leads at a better place, Ed.
No, I
I
can't.
my
Hey, I've tried.
preferred
I've used them things forever. I cannot stand them. Hate
my
them.
preferred lead is the chain and the little over half of it, and then a cable with a loop in it on the other end. They hang good. They're secure. Like when I was competition hunting, I carried 2 leads. If I was going to lead a dog, I carried my rolled leather lead. And if I was just at the tree with the dog, but if I had to leave it, if I had to go to a dog that was treed and leave it, I always put the cable and chain on them.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't trying to change somebody's mind. Just me personally, I ain't using a damn
But I
cable
never
lead.
liked the way the full cable leads hung. You know, carrying them, you're always putting them back on your shoulder, always putting them
Could
back
they?
on your shoulder.
Could they? Are they really that much lighter than chain?
I don't know. I never had. I don't know.
I doubt.
I've
I
never
doubt
weighed
they're.
them.
I doubt they're
Never
that
weighed
much
them.
lighter than chain. I can't stand them things. I don't know what Jacob's talking about.
Do what?
I
Uh,
don't know what Jacob's talking about.
I don't either. Chime in there, Jacob.
Yeah, clarify that.
And he followed it up with one little statement there.
Chris Watson's about where I'm at. It ain't real. It's not rocket science. We're not trying to get a man to the moon. A bunch, a bunch of chain with some stakes on the end of it.
Well, you're a simple man anyway, Ed.
It's hard to be simple.
It is these days, and do it live. That's for sure. All right, what we got? Yep, colder weather for the box for the colder weather.
Yeah, I mean that kind of goes back to what you're talking about, Chris. Like, there's cable leads. I've mostly had a problem with strands unraveling and cutting my hands, but yeah, there are some that the crimps they put on them aren't near as good and they come loose.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. The bait is an interesting stuff that Roy's talking about. All of my long lines now that I'm using that I use to leash train or to do recall training in the early days, that's all beta.
Yeah, that's beta is just the
Or no, beta is the flat stuff, the flat vinyl stuff, isn't it?
it's the stuff that kind of looks like leather. It's what a
Yeah,
lot of the
that's right. That's right. I'm talking about it's not a clothesline type material, vinyl coated clothesline. It's a little bit heavier. It's about quarter-inch thick. But man, that stuff's nice for lines and stuff. And I'll tell you a real quick trick that I learned from an old guy. That beta line or that the line like I just talked about, and you can also just use straight vinyl finished clothesline with the fiber nylon fibers in the middle of it. If you'll take that, if you've got a dog that's hard to catch at the tree or hard to catch wherever, and you're especially young dogs, I love doing this. If you'll take that and put just a snap in one end of it and leave the other end drag, that thing will never snag in the brush or anything. He'll hunt with it, and it can be 10 or 12 feet long. It just fishes all the way through the brush and never gets snagged.
yeah. What we use is weed eater string.
Yeah, weed eater string's another one. Yep.
Yeah, like
This stuff's just not as hard on your hand as weed eater string when you got one that decides that they're going to yank on you a little bit.
yeah, that line of dogs that Tanner hunts are notorious for being hard to catch.
Yeah.
So yeah, usually when we turn it, I mean, his puppies are almost impossible to catch in the woods. So sometimes we think of it, sometimes we don't. But usually when we think of it, we put 20 foot of weed eater cord on them, and they can run all night long. That weed eater cord doesn't weigh enough to slow them down,
Nope.
and it's impossible to tangle it up. Like, they're not going to get caught out in the woods tangled up.
100%. We Jacob Zachary's talking about chain gangs.
Well, I still
He
don't
must
really
be
know.
he must be telling me that there's no reason to have one tangled up.
Yeah, I'm not really following that.
Yeah. Yep. But the weed eater string is a pretty cool trick. And I just found that the nylon coated clothesline, not the green stuff with the wire, but the white stuff is the exact same thing, and it's not as It's not as hard on your hands. You
Yeah, I
got
think
one that's trying to get away.
Jacob. I don't think he's talking about biothane. It's similar to biothane, but instead of being a flat braided uh, cloth center, it's a round braided clothesline type thing.
Yeah. And the biothane, I think he's right. The biothane is the, I get it at the Strap Warehouse. You can get
Yeah,
it in 100-foot rolls or whatever. And it's
biothane
like,
is what 80% of dog leads are made out of.
yeah,
It's just
yep.
cloth. Uh,
Jacob, you probably know what you're talking about, and I probably don't. So we're not connecting here. Yeah, look at Brad Stanley saying, yeah, Ed, you're right. Weed eater string. Look at the guns on that guy. You looking at
yeah,
his Facebook profile picture?
yeah. You can if he gets mad at us, you can fight him.
Yeah, no kidding.
Me and Tanner last night we hunted, and Tanner was hunting a pup that's out of some good stuff. Male dog. I think it was his first night hunting, and he hunted really good. But at the end of the night, I turned out one of my dogs, and then Tanner's pup and my dog hooked up, and dude, they covered some ground, like covered it. We went and picked up my dog at probably he was probably mile and a half, 2 miles from where we cast, and we'd lost communication. But of course, and we had to drive 15 miles to get to him. We picked him up. Tanner's pup wasn't with him, so we had to drive back 15 miles where we turned loose. And finally, we picked up Tanner's dog on the Garmin, and it was late. It wasn't last night. It was the night before. It was Sunday night, and it was late. And we was tired, and we was hoping we'd get home and get to bed. And we got close to him, and I parked the truck, and Tanner got out to catch his pup. And I told Cody Jenkins, I said, man, we're liable to be here 30 minutes him catching that dog. That dog was so damn tired, Tanner caught him in an instant. Them tired dogs are a whole lot easier to catch. What did Tanner say?
Oh, Tanner, there he is.
Yeah, I'm
Cable.
with.
I didn't even realize Tanner. Why isn't Tanner on this raw dog? What's he doing? We need to have
Busy.
Tanner on here.
He's probably busy looking at cows.
Yeah. Looking at taking pictures of Brahmas and stuff.
I'm gonna agree with Tanner on that one though.
I haven't ever had weed eater string stay curled up. Once they drag it and get a little bit of dirt on it and just rough it up a little bit, it usually strings out pretty good behind them.
Well, what
Now,
I'll
if
tell
you,
you, what we do is, so I'll take 20 or 30 feet of weed eater cord, and I'll put a knot in it and put it on my receiver hitch, my ball,
mm-hmm.
and then I'll back up to like a fence post and tie it to the fence post, and then get in my truck and just kind of tug on it a bit,
Yep.
and it'll
Once you
straighten that.
stretch it.
Yeah, it'll straighten that curl out of it. But yeah,
Yep.
it is bad for curling up, but you don't have to get where you can grab the dog by his collar. You know, you got a few feet. If you can get within a few feet of him, you can catch it.
Yep, for sure. I'll tell you what, man. I'm operating without a power cord, and I'm down to a few percentage points here on this beast. And this is a dang good conversation with everybody in here. So probably ought to be wrapping it up, or you're going to be flying solo here in a minute.
Okay. You ain't got a power cord?
No, that was a problem last week when we were trying to do one, was the power cord issue. I had to order one from Amazon and have it shipped to, I don't even think anybody knows where Folsom, New Mexico is, especially the postal people. They couldn't even get it here until Amazon doesn't know where it's at. It's like Folsom. They thought I was talking about a Johnny Cash song or something.
Yeah, I think that's a different state.
Yeah, for sure. That's California.
Pete says put weed eater string in hot water. I never heard that.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'll try that.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the beta. That's
Yeah.
what a lot of a lot of the mule guys, a lot of the younger mule guys are using
Right.
beta for harness material because it
Hmm.
kind of looks like leather, but
There's
it doesn't take
Amish guys in our country that are using beta.
yeah, it doesn't take the upkeep that
Yep.
leather takes. I mean, I prefer leather, but there is some upkeep on it.
Yeah. Donnie, I'm gonna have to ask you about the two dogs tied to the same swivel or something on a doghouse when I come up and we do part two with you because I want to hear that story. So, well, I hate to cut it short, guys. Ed, I'm gonna have to roll because
You losing your battery?
yep, battery's getting low, dude. Battery's getting low.
Well, we'll
But
do it again, but I mean, this is a perfect example. I mean, we just came in. I mean, we had no topic in mind whatsoever. So,
we filled up an hour.
we'll be back next Tuesday, and the comments will dictate where the topic heads to.
Sure. Yep. Learn CPR for your dogs. It could save their life when you're an idiot.
Yeah, like I say, it's
So,
not that hard, and I'm a novice at it. But what I've done in the past is just hold their muzzle shut, put your nose over their, you put your mouth over their nose, and
yep. You just close, hold it, and I take one hand like this, close the muzzle, and I put the other hand like that over the top. So you just got the nose available.
yeah,
And I mean, when you blow it in there, you'll hear them.
you'll feel
So,
you'll hear and feel them fill
hmm
up. The time that you know, so the time that we did it when a dog come off the back of a dog box, that was actually the first time I've seen it done, and I remember now that we thought the dog was dead.
I thought Cajun was done. I thought it was
We were
over.
we were just kind of doing that, you know, as a last resort. We weren't trained in dog CPR. We just kind of tried it, and it worked, you know. So, like I say, it's not, it ain't rocket science. Close off their mouth and blow through their nose.
Yep.
But even
Yep.
if you think a dog is dead,
Try it.
just try it. It just takes a few minutes.
100%. I learned it with, being a canine handler, had to go through all that dog first aid stuff. So, but you can find it online. Maybe we'll do a
I mean,
tutorial on it sometime.
I figured a varmint got a hold of the Cajun, but
That was all my road rash. And he wasn't dragging on the ground. That's the problem. That was the back wheel of the buggy that chewed that up on him. I don't
oh
even
yeah,
think I don't even have the picture up here to put up, but I might I might put it up sometime.
yeah. I thought something swatted him, but then I was thinking, you know, if something swatted him, why are you doing CPR unless it was so deep that it
Right.
cut a lung, and at that point CPR ain't gonna do no good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Well, I'm gonna sign off.
Okay, we'll see y'all next Tuesday.
Hey, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Tuesday night. What time? Same time next week.
Yeah, it'll be 7 p.m. Central.
8 Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. How's that?
You're,
We don't know
you're
what
on
kind. We don't know what time it is in Australia
you're on top of that.
or Hawaii. All right, man. Take care, Ed.
Okay,
Thanks. All right. We'll
we'll
see
see
you.
y'all.